It is your freak show. It's Wild 94.1, and we have a new interpretation of gun law that is a little confusing for most. And I had to get on the authority, and I have him on the line right now, our SPPD Police Chief, Tony Holloway. Chief Holloway, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good, but I got to tell you, once we said that you were going to be on answering these questions, and text us if you have a few, man.
A lot of questions.
People have been texting because, I mean, in this post 9/11 generation we are in, everybody has been told if you see something, say something. I got to think your dispatchers are like, what are we about to walk into? Because everyone who sees a gun is going to call.
Well, and we still want them to do that. So we're looking forward to this conversation with more. I'm looking forward to this conversation. Thank you for having it.
No, I appreciate you. Can we just talk about the fact? I mean, well, I'll just jump right into the questions. All right. So, can any gun be carried open as long as it's holstered? That's one question out of the 954.
That is correct. And let me preface, I'm not a lawyer, so if they have any questions that I can't answer, I would suggest they call a lawyer. But to that, yes, they can carry a gun like that in the open.
Okay.
So a rifle, an AR?
Yes.
But that can't be holstered though. But that could be on like a over a shoulder or something like that. So if because a parent said, if you got kids out here who are of gun ownership age, like they followed the rules, but it's a pack of them walking down the street and they all have shouldered guns, that's going to be interpreted by the block as something bad is getting ready to happen. How does law enforcement interpret that?
Well, we interpret it, like you said, it's going to be a difference from everyone, that you're going to see a group, like you said, of men or young men walking around with guns. As long as they're not displaying it in a rude, careless, angry, or threatened manner, and they're not pointing it at anyone, then there's nothing that we can do. We still want those phone calls because we'd like to know where those, I would say, people are. But again, we would have no reason to stop them just because they're walking around.
So we still should report it so that police officers know that what is going on in that area, you're saying?
Yes, but and let me preface that with, you're going to get more questions from the 911 operators. So once you say there's a subject walking down the street with guns, the next question is, what are they doing?
Okay.
We
Right.
still want to, because if they're not doing anything, then they're not violating the law.
One person just said, so I carry my gun in traffic on my lap. Is that fine?
Well, I would suggest to that person, if they can, yeah. But if a police officer stops them, I would tell them to make sure they put that gun in a safe place.
Okay, so now that's a great. We talked about it this morning, just to make officers comfortable when you get a stop. You know, I was always taught to let down your windows. Now, some people think that's a little bit too, I guess too gracious. But there are a lot of people who understand that if you de-escalate the tension from the officer's side, that probably can convey over to your side and have an easier transition. But if a lot of movement, if what we just laid out to you as a question, somebody has it on their lap and now they get pulled over. So now they are grabbing their gun, putting it into a safe position. You're looking at it from the back. Doesn't that seem like it puts more tension on the situation?
It does, but then I would say you would, like, and I agree with you say, roll your windows down so the officer, he or she can see in your car.
Mm-hmm.
As they're pulling you over, you can move the gun. I mean, they're going to say a furtive movement.
Yeah.
And you can tell the officer, say, officer, look, when I saw you pulling me over, I put my gun in X, the glove box, whatever. There's a gun in the car. And then go from there. That way, the officer feels safe, you're safe, everybody's, like you say, de-escalating. So now I know there's a gun in the car. I'm always going to assume there's a gun in the car. At least now you told me that when I was pulling you over, you were putting a gun away.
We are on the line with our police chief for St. Pete Police Department, Chief Tony Holloway, and he's graciously explaining this open carry transition. Is this, I know, Rich, you have a question, but I just want to ask, is this something that you guys are preparing to be fluid, or is this something that seems like it's going to stick?
I think it's going to stick. I think it's just going to be something unique for us. I mean, there's other states that have open carry, so I think it's going to be a learn process for both law enforcement and for the community, because it is something new. For me, I've been in law enforcement for over 40 years, so it's going to be new for something, me seeing someone walking down the street with a gun in the open. So I'm going to have to second guess that, but I know that I would have no reason now to stop a person just because they're carrying a weapon.
All right. Out of the 727, they say, good morning. When was this approved and why did the change happen?
So this happened, and like I said again, a lawyer would be the best person to explain to you. This happened out of a ruling from the first DCA, and then the Attorney General said that it was unconstitutional, and so it's coming into effect.
Yeah, so you had all the things that you learned in your gun classes, all the things that you have, learned about handling your gun or where you can carry it. Those things still apply. Is that correct?
That is correct, and thank you for bringing that up. If people are confused, just because it's open carry doesn't mean you still can take it into places. Those rules are still in effect. You just can't take it. I'll use an example. So someone owns a store or whatever. They say, hey, I don't want you bringing that gun into my store. You cannot bring that gun into the store. You have to take that gun and put it back into your car.
Now go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Keep going.
No. Now, if you refuse and they call the police officer, he or she responds, then you can be charged with armed trespassing. So the person has a right to tell you to get off their property with that gun.
Okay, now that's interesting because I do know on social media I see a lot of people who are doing kind of the sidewalk justice where they're like, no, I know my rights. And so I'm glad you said that because the last thing you want people doing is arguing with somebody who's mistakenly handling a gun in a wrong situation.
Sheriff, Chief. Sorry.
Don't give
he's like, don't give him another job.
Yeah,
he's like,
so I took the class, so I know the specific places you can't carry a firearm. Can you clarify to those people out there that maybe don't know the places that people should not be open carrying?
There's a list of them, and I would tell you they need to go online and look up 790.06 subsection 12. And it gives them a whole list of where they cannot carry those guns.
Yeah. And now the thing is, I have it pulled up right here. I mean, elementary schools, secondary schools, and administration buildings, those courthouses, polling places, those career centers and college and universities, those are all the same things that they taught you in your concealed carry class. You can't walk. Now, one person did say that they can be in a bar with their while they're carrying, as long as they're not consuming alcohol. Is that something that would alarm you in your position?
Well, again, it comes down to the owner of the business, and he or she can say, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but sir, I don't want you in my bar with that gun, and then they have to take that gun and put it in their car or wherever.
Okay. All right.
Okay. I have somebody else from the 941. They said open carry. Does that mean that a police officer can just walk up to me and ask for my ID?
No.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Another question out of 808. It says, if I have a medical marijuana card, am I allowed to carry? That is a question that puzzles me.
They need to talk to their lawyer. I haven't delved that far down into it. I can tell you if you're a convicted felon, that doesn't give you the right to carry a gun.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. What is the subjectivity of suspicious? If a caller deems people as suspicious with guns, the officer will now approach a legal person with a gun with trepidation. How do you handle that?
And again, that's going to, like, we're learning, and our 911 dispatcher is going to ask the person, okay, what is that person doing? And like you just said, they're walking on the sidewalk with a gun. And?
Oh, yeah. Hey, yeah, you got to fill in something else. They have to be doing something to merit your involvement.
Yes.
Okay.
If that person just walking down the sidewalk with somebody asked earlier, with an AR-15, long as they're not, like I told you, as long as they're not being rude, careless, or doing it in an anger manner or threatening manner, okay.
I know, Chief Holloway. I know you. I've known you for years, and I know you. I remember when we talked to you about being pulled over, and you said, "Listen, I'm a chief here, but when I'm in other cities, I get pulled over. I'm a black man behind the wheel, so I do understand these situations. So you have a position where you can understand on both sides. There are people who are worried, and I just want to know when you heard this come down, because you know all the fallout of I have to retrain, I have to do this with my officers, I have to make sure they understand, I have to walk in and explain. So when you first heard that your city and your state now have open carry, just before you got to process it as professional, just as a man sitting there, were you like, what the hell are we about to go through right now? Or were you like, it's par for the course?
I would say this par for the course, and that's what I just said is, and I want to thank you again for what you're doing, that we'll have to retrain officers, retrain the community, because you're right, after 9/11, we've done active shooter training. We've trained our community to respond to people with guns. Now we got to train our people to say, okay, that person has a gun, but what else are they doing with their guns?
Yeah. Go ahead.
For the men and women, I want to make sure they go home to their family each and every night. So we've got to retrain officers, and we got to retrain the community that, you know, if you come in contact with a police officer and you've got that gun on your hip, don't touch that gun while you're talking to me. You know, you can talk to me without touching that gun. I'm going to see it. I'm always going to assume that someone has a gun on me prior to this open carry, but now I can see it, so now that's going to draw my attention to that weapon.
Wow. This Tiffany just wrote us and said, this is terrifying. And for some who are hearing this for the first time, and many, when we mentioned it this morning, had no idea that it had been enacted. So this person says, how do you know the gun is registered? What if they don't have a registered gun, but they're walking around with it? When do you get to figure that out?
When they break the law.
Wow. So we got to wait for them to break the law. Because I got to tell you, I'm going to be nervous. If I got my kids and I see somebody walking with a gun, I think we might need to go eat somewhere else. Like, you know, and that's my feeling today. Maybe it'll take me a little while to get used to it, like they have in a Texas or in Arizona or somewhere like that, you know. But this is different. This says, doesn't open carry also create intimidation in our community?
Well, I'm not going to answer that one because I don't know, because I only can answer for myself. I don't know what that other person is feeling. And just like you're saying, Orlando, you're right. If I'm out to dinner with my wife and I see somebody walking by with a gun, that's going to raise my suspicion. And you're right. If I see somebody with an AR-15, is it time for me to tell my wife, you know what, let's go to another restaurant.
Yeah, pack it up, baby. We got to go.
Yeah. I got a couple of people asking. They're saying, is there any way that there's going to be classes or anything offered so people are educated about this?
No. I do think that where you do your concealed carry thing, you can go back to them and ask.
Yeah, I think they would have to put on. But far as my agency, we're not going to do that, because what do you tell a person? I mean, what I'm looking for is, and what you guys are trying to do this morning, again, I want to thank you again, is telling people they need to be, and the key word is responsible gun owners. Just because you're carrying that gun doesn't make you a big man or big woman. You need to be responsible with that, because if something happens, that gun goes off, or you accidentally shoot someone, you can't say you're sorry. It's done. It's over with.
Yeah, absolutely. This says, can areas like Ybor City ban guns, or does it have to be the individual locations?
That's a great question. It is the individual location. I give back. If it's in a public right-of-way or public road, there's nothing that law enforcement can do with someone opening and carrying a weapon.
Wow. Okay. All right.
They answered a lot of people's questions here.
What I would urge people to do, if you go online, because I know I saw the St. Pete Police Department put up the Pinellas statement. It was rather lengthy, and it has all the specifics on how we've gotten here. Also, a lot of questions on where things can be carried. And the people who taught you how to do a concealed carry, if you have a good rapport with them, they're easy to reach out to, because those folks live gun life, and they can tell you, now they are not lawyers. If you have a lawyer, it's great to get a lawyer to explain it for you too, because that's the person who you're going to need as an ally as well. Is there anything you would like to tell, as far as, 40 years in it, you've seen it all, but you're talking to the whole city right now. What would you like to share with them about where we are now?
Sure. And again, first of all, I want to thank you for bringing me on to your show for what you're doing, not only for the community, but for the men and women involved in law enforcement. Just like to tell people to be responsible gun owners, that now that you think that it's okay to carry a weapon, you're taking on a huge responsibility, because if you do something in anger or any crime now you commit, I'll go simple. You do shoplifting and you have a gun on you. Now that's armed shoplifting.
Okay.
So you better start thinking about, you decide that you want to strap on that gun. That's a huge responsibility you're taking on.
I mean, you just hit the nail on the head. Everything that you do is magnified now. If you're arguing with your spouse and you guys are, getting a little, heated, and the officer comes up and gets called, you are, in essence, fighting with a firearm. You're armed while you're doing that.
Yes.
So it escalates every aspect of your life. Like this person just said, just stay home. I'm scared. And no one wants you to be scared, but I do understand that plight. That's crazy.
Yeah, we don't want people to stay home. We just want responsible gun owners. I support the Second Amendment. We just want people to just think, because this is happening, that's not going to change your life. It's just going to make you be more aware of what's around you, and just be responsible. That's all I can say to people that wants to do this.
The last question I have for you comes out of the 941, says, does this count if I have a permit or don't have a permit, or can I just carry because it's a right now?
You can carry. You don't need a permit.
Wow. Yeah.
And is there a specific date this starts, or this is already started?
It has started around certain areas in the state. I think the Attorney General had to the 25th to argue this, but I think we're just waiting for the 25th, but people are already starting to carry, so we're just taking it one case at a time.
Thank you so much. Chief Holloway from St. Pete Police Department. You've been, in our lives ever since Wild Splash from your Clearwater days. So I appreciate you because you've always been stand up and showing up whenever we needed you. So I thank you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys, for everything you're doing.
All right. Take care.
All right. Bye.
Wow. There's a lot that I didn't know. It's like I didn't know that that there could be people in bars carrying.
I mean, but the thing is, okay, what he said is right. If you own an establishment and somebody comes in with a gun, you don't have to confront them like it's going to be a fight. Mm-hmm. But you do have the right to go over to them and say, hey, listen, we don't want any problems in here. I know you have the right to carry, but we refuse firearms to be in here. So you're going to have to go, holster it or go shelter your firearm. You can't take a gun to the Bucks game.
No.
You can't, take a gun you can't take a gun to class. If you go into school and your gun is in your backpack, that's damn near like you at TSA. Mm-hmm. And guess what? You can't go through TSA.
No, with a gun. No.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, there's places you haven't been able to carry. There are people with permits. There are people with legal guns who have gone through TSA accidentally, and they have made the papers. We've seen them in the news. Yep. Several of our celebrities have gone through that. Mm-hmm. So people make those mistakes, but now every mistake you make is times 10 because now you're armed. Like he said, you go in there and take $5 out of a cash register, mm-hmm. but you got a gun. That's armed robbery.
That's armed robbery now. And it takes you to a whole different slew of consequences and things like that. But also with this, when you hear open carry, like a lot of people automatically think like you could take it everywhere. There's still rules where you cannot take a weapon. Or
somebody just said, I would love to hear a lawyer's take on it too. And you know what? I mean, I know my man Zach downstairs was a prosecutor with Pinellas County. Mm-hmm. We might be able to get him on sometime next week to come up because he's always down. I mean, he comes up here every now and then, and we've chatted. I mean, he used to be in the 100, so big shout out to everybody out there from Tallahassee. So I might get him in here to come on and explain it from a prosecutor's point, because I know he's probably looking at everything now because this affects every one of his clients, I would think. So mm-hmm. we'll try and take that angle too, so we just don't get one side of it. But I wanted to start with law enforcement because law enforcement has to approach you in probably the least best situations: speeding, an accident, some sort of altercation, some sort of crowd. And if you got a gun and they're coming in hot, I want you to know how to handle it. So that's where it comes from. All right. Hopefully you guys are going to, look this stuff up. We're going to put up as much information as we can on socials as well, just so everybody stays aware, and be safe. All right. Responsible gun owner is still a responsible gun owner. That's the need. It's not I have one and I can run around like it's the OK Corral or like it's a Western. All right. So let's be safe, and we're going to come back.
Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel right here.